I was thinking about it from a like evolutionary perspective of reaction and the whole psychology and neuroscience of it, where I think it's sympathetic nervous system kicks into action, and it's like heightened your awareness and your energy and your, reaction speeds and that, and how that is really designed mostly for physical hazards, physical risks. So like you were saying before, if you're chased by a lion, you really need those reactions. And the fact that the reactions, there is a high volatility in it where you're making rash decisions, is perfectly acceptable in those situations, because you do have to react quickly, because if you don't, the lion will get you. Like, the risk is that great. Whereas in society currently, and specifically looking at our rebooting society where we've got those foundations covered, there's very little reason to make quick decisions. So just removing that element from it kind of like bypasses that issue of having our natural responses be quick, or our reactions be quick, in order to overcome some kind of physical threat.
Yeah. I think the importance here is that the reaction comes from that unconscious part of your brain, and I guess that when we use that, it's not something that we are processing or filtering. It's something that's embedded, that has, like you said, from an evolutionary sense, has been beneficial to us. It's been embedded because it's been used successfully so many times that it has become embedded. So what we need to be careful is blaming those individuals for reacting that way, because it's an embedded unconscious reaction to the situation. So just actually giving them the time to have that, by reducing the threat around them, might then allow them to merge that to more of a responsive situation. And so that's that speed that you were talking about before. If you have everything at high speed, the more you increase speed, the more people become reactive, because they have to respond on that unconscious level, because they're perceiving the threats coming in too fast. So you reduce the speed that they're coming in. Now they have the capability to allow that reaction to occur, and if there's not an immediate threat, they then hopefully will evolve to move that to a response, and to really think about what actually happened after the event and then change that. And I guess people embed the reasoning, like, I guess to break an unconscious or a habit of reaction, you have to do a lot of work where each time you react to a situation, you have a negative consequence. And so the slower you slow the speed down, and the less risk that gets increased, people then realise that their reaction was probably not beneficial. Whereas they can have an excuse. If they had to react, if the speed at which the threat's coming in, they have to react quickly, then they have a reason to reinforce their unconscious mind about, okay, that reaction actually worked, that got me out of the situation, I'm going to keep using that each time something comes in. So giving the space is really what's needed to then take a reaction into a response, to evolve that from a reaction to a response. You need that time to slow down and give them time to be exposed to the threat, but not so much that they have to react on it.
That's an interesting point. So if I understand it correctly, the forcing someone to react, it's difficult. Like, we use them so interchangeably that it's difficult to, I have to stop and think about it. Okay, when do I use react? When do I use respond? Forcing someone to react, you kind of give them an out. It's like, if they make a bad decision, they can say, well, you forced me to react. Whereas I think this is what you were saying, if you give them that time, if you force them to give them that time and they still make a bad decision, you're like, well, we gave you the space that you needed. Like, that's on you now, and you should be held accountable. So it's switching, like, kind of who's accountable for that decision, which is really interesting. And if you think about it in our current context, it means that a lot of people have got a lot of excuses. They're like, well, we were acting quickly. We couldn't, how were we supposed to respond? How were we supposed to think about it? We had to react. And it's like, and it's kind of like feeding itself. Whereas if we step back and recognize, okay, it's more risky to react. Let's just stop, take some time and respond. And then we can evaluate and we can accurately say, look, we gave you plenty of space to make a informed decision. That's on you now. You're accountable for that. You can't blame your physiology for that. That's you.
That's correct. I guess one of the things that you learn, I guess, when you're younger and you have arguments with your siblings, friends, your parents, and all the rest of it, is that the best way to respond that someone's being reactive is there's two ways. You either be reactive back, and then they have a reason to be reactive in a reactive state. They can point the finger, well, you did this, you did that. Or you actually just slow down, say very little, or just respond. Like, okay, that's how you feel. As soon as you do that, then they're the only one that's left in the situation that's reacting, and that's the best chance they have to realise that their reaction's not needed in the situation. But if you have two people just reacting back and forth, it's like a game of tennis, I guess. They just hype each other up, and each of them both have an excuse of why they're actually being reactive. You stop one person being reactive in that situation, then it's only you. That's the best chance where you get to go, hang on, do I actually need to be? No one else is. And you need to give people that space. And each person is brought with a different level of aptitude, and we can't blame them for that. So some people in society are just more reactive, and we often, I guess, look down on them or banish them, but we don't give weight to the reason why they are being reactive in those situations. And it is an evolutionary thing, and it's not something easy for them to take control of in the moment. So yeah,
that's a great point, that being reactive and then like responding with replying with reactions, like it amplifies it. And the opposite is also true. If you are being responsive, it can go in that trend as well. It's like you need to. The term they use for the virus is R0, where how many people you transmit it to, as long as that's less than 1, it'll eventually die off. You can use a similar concept here, where as long as you've got 51% of people are responding, over time it'll go to like a more responsive nature, whereas currently it seems like greater than 51% are reacting, which is just amplifying it and pushing it towards the everyone reacts side of the table.
Yes, yeah.